Hi, Sage.
Hey.
Today is May 6th, right?
Yeah, the
Okay,
6th.
yeah.
Or June 6th.
Oh my God, it is. So, we are here to hear about your story, about your journey. So, it has been how many months?
Has been 6 months.
6 months, right?
Yes.
The first time you learned it, which is what day was that? Do you remember?
That was, well, when I went into the ER, it was the 10th of December. Or, sorry, the 11th of December. And then I learned that I had small cell carcinoma of the ovary on the Friday after that. So I think that was about 3 or 4 days after, so around the 15th.
Oh wow. So you feel a little bit uneasy, so you went to ER?
Yeah, so I was having abdominal and lower back pain and that was pretty dull pain. Then I was having some sharp pains on the right side where the tumor was growing, I later learned. And so I went to the doctor actually the day after Thanksgiving, and the doctor told me, oh, is it, like, he checked for appendicitis and he asked if I could be pregnant, and neither of those were right.
Yeah.
And so then he just told me, well, keep taking pain meds and come back in if it gets worse. And then it got worse, and I went to the urgent care actually on the 10th of December, and then they thought that I should get an ultrasound done. So I went to get an ultrasound on the 11th, and then was told that I needed to go to the ER because I had bleeding around my ovary. They thought it was, ovarian torsion.
Yeah.
It's twisted ovary. So they recommended doing surgery to try to salvage that ovary. And then when they cut in, they found a tumor. And the surgeon, when I woke up, told me that it was probably malignant because of its density. So I kind of knew then that it was probably cancer, but then actually found out later that it definitely was cancer.
So it has been a journey, and what do you feel when you found out that you have cancer?
Nah, I thought I was gonna die.
But obviously you're here with me now, right?
Yes. So when I found out, when I was told it was not really handled in the best manner. The surgeon that I had, her assistant got the lab back on Friday afternoon and decided to call me with the results Friday at 4 p.m. And I was home all by myself, and I got a call, and this chipper woman was like, oh, well, we got your labs back and you have small cell carcinoma of the ovary. So yeah, if you have any more questions about that, give us a call back. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. It sounded like really good news because she was so chipper. And so I got off the phone and I looked it up on the internet, and immediately I found, well, there wasn't like much information about it. And then I found survival rates 10 to 30%, depending on which stage you have.
Oh.
And then I found most people die within 6 to 9 months of their diagnosis. So that was not great news. I thought for sure that I was going to die, and it was scary. I wasn't prepared to die, so
You were not ready.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah. Well, so overall it was scary, and then of course the journey is 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So let's just recap here real quick. Scary December. What happened in January?
Then January, well, so that wasn't the end of December. There's more that happened in December. So immediately after I got my diagnosis, I started calling oncologists, GYN oncologists, and trying to make appointments. And so I made an appointment with the Pacific Gynecology and the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance. And I saw the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance first, Dr. Gray, and she recommended that I have, I had a CT scan before, and it showed some enlarged lymph nodes, and this cancer metastasized to lymph nodes, and so she wanted to biopsy, go in and do minimally invasive surgery and biopsy the lymph node. And so we did that December 26th, the day after Christmas, and found, when she went in there, she made one incision on my left side of my stomach, one incision in the middle for a tool and a camera. She got in there with the camera and just saw lots of spread of the tumor. It was on the omentum and peritoneum and diaphragm. And so right then she closed it back up, and I started chemotherapy the next day to try to get that taken care of. So I had my port put in that morning of the 27th and started chemotherapy later that day.
So let's recap here. So you have an operation already at this time. They have already removed something. What did they remove?
The first operation on the 11th, they removed my right ovary that the tumor had burst through. They removed the tumor and my right fallopian tube and a sliver of my uterus that had cancer growing on it.
Okay. So then you do chemo.
Yep.
January, February, March, and then I understand in March they scan you.
Yep. So I got a PET CT scan, and that showed very little tumor left, which was really good news. It showed just two grape-sized tumors, one that was close to the left ovary and the other one that was probably on the omentum.
So what happened since then? You have another operation. So what happened?
Yeah, so I kept on, after that scan, I kept on with the etoposide cisplatin chemotherapy, and then I scheduled another surgery for May 8th was the surgery, or sorry, May 9th was the surgery.
And
that I scheduled.
Yeah.
And but about a week before that surgery, I started having pains, the same pains that I had in the beginning, and swollen abdomen, and went in, called the SCCA who I was working with, and told them, well, I have a pain that's very similar to what I had in the very beginning. Can I come in and get checked out? And so I went in and they did a physical exam, and they said, well, it doesn't look like anything. It's probably just the chemo drugs making you have this pain. And she's like, okay. And then the pain got worse, and I had to take more pain meds for it. And so eventually I went into the ER.
Yeah, that's the time I visited you.
Yep, yeah, that's when you visited. And I went in a couple days before, actually like 5 days before my scheduled surgery, and I came in and I had a temperature and worse pain, and so they admitted me for pain control, and then they did another CT scan actually, and found a lot of tumor growth.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
So
the cisplatin and etoposide, my cancer had become resistant to them, so that caused tumors to just kind of grow out of control. So they moved up the surgery date, and I don't know, it was not a fun time in the hospital. I was out of it for most of it because I was on a lot of pain meds and had a temperature. My fever went up to 103 at one point. It was kind of up and down, and they thought I had an infection as well. So it was risky to operate, but the fever was being caused by cancer growth. So it was kind of like what I needed to get the fever down was to operate, but I couldn't operate because I had a fever.
Catch-22.
Yes. So Dr. Gray explained to me it's a 10% risk that I would die on the operating table because of
Oh, that's very low.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Obviously
10% is
you're
kinda
here.
high.
Obviously you're
Yeah,
here.
obviously I survived.
So anyway, so they removed something, right?
Yep.
Your other ovary?
They removed my other ovary, the fallopian tube, my uterus, basically a complete hysterectomy. And they also did a debunking in my abdomen, so they removed any tissue that wasn't necessary, including my omentum.
So are you completely cured now?
No, unfortunately, but I'm almost there. So the surgery got rid of 95% of the cancer. Unfortunately, there's still some left. So I'm doing more chemo, but outpatient this time. So it's much nicer. I just go in for a couple hours during the day instead of all weekend.
So that was a brief history of what happened to you. So now